This is Unplugem. Most High guide my mind, guide my heart, guide my tongue to be in alignment with your will. That you be visible and me be invisible, for you are invincible. We'll talk about a few things, the other meaning of hating. We're going to talk about the Uncle Ruckas, Suckas. And we're going to talk a little bit about something that I know, a few people might have had on their mind, being as we just finished going through the time that they call the Independence Day, the 4th of July. And, should you celebrate or not? Well, we know all of the holidays that we celebrate here in this land are based on pagan days, without exception. And that's a fact. But let's also be real. Let's keep it 100. Somebody asked me if I celebrate, or would you like a plate? First of all, that's a two-part question. The pertinent thing is, what are we celebrating and why? How do I feel about the 4th of July? Well, I know that we're not really included in certain things that have to do with the freedom of this country. And when I say we, I'm talking about my ethnicity, my nationality, my culture. But in reality, is anybody really free? Okay, when if you say certain things you're not supposed to say, the hammers come down on you, one way or another way. But if you ask if I celebrate or would I like a plate, first of all, that's a two-part question. The first part requires some clarification and qualification. Now, we all know every day we celebrate is, a pagan day. But before you fix your lips, tell me, did you turn down your day's vacation? Nah, I know ain't nobody gonna be up there, but I just want to go sit at my desk and play on the computer for 8 hours, because I don't celebrate. I know it's all I do anyway, but I'm gonna do it for free today. No, didn't nobody say that. Have mercy. Be wise as serpents. So you mean to tell me, Judge Joe Brown, that little DeMario and Denali ain't got nothing to eat, and you gonna turn down a plate and let them starve for your religious beliefs? Yes. Now that's a way to recruit some folk in the faith right there. Whenever you at a gathering, family and friends, and there's a lot of different reasons that we gather. Do you celebrate your birthday? That's an opportunity for you to have a conversation about something deep and give somebody else a clue. Don't let your good be evil spoken of. They all gonna laugh at you, Carrie. You talking about you don't celebrate this and you don't celebrate that, and you walking around with some funny looking dress or funny looking hat. Have mercy. Listen, my weight fluctuate like Luther's. My stomach is touching my back, making noises, squeak, 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 like a door on a rusty hinge. And you mean to tell me I'm supposed to turn down something deep? You ain't got to say it for me 4 times. Yes, I will have some barbecue chicken breast. Have mercy. So, all things relative. Some of you use hating as a way of stating, man, just go along with what I'm saying. No debating. Okay then. What if I see more to it, or see through it, or don't feel that I should do it? It's a conformity game. Just conform. You see, real hate is a form of love. Okay, hate and love as we know them. They're two different opposites of the same thing. Like hot and cold is two different opposite ends of the same thing, a temperature. You have one extreme end and the other. Okay, have you ever felt road rage or got snubbed at the Super K and told somebody, I hate you? I hate you is a strong term that's usually reserved for somebody that you have strong feelings for. And usually you have to love a person first before you go that hard and say that you hate them. So people throw the word hate around today like people throw the word love around. Have mercy. So we're going to look at how some people also will throw that word hate around because you may have an opinion that's not popular, or you're not rolling with something that everybody else believe they should roll with. You may have some very good reasons why. You know, as a young guy, I was always fascinated to hear the different reasons why somebody didn't choose to do what everybody else was doing. You used to get respect for that. That was called being original, okay? It was called, you know, walking to the beat of your own drum. But nowadays, when there's more of an effort to conform everybody into one form, a conform, to make everybody fake, you know, and fakeness is the most popular thing. The most popular things that we do is fake or demonic or have some link back to some sort of mind control or deception. So when you're the exception and not the rule, people say that you hate. Okay, that's cool. That's what people do. Some people ask about, you know, as far as the black community goes, you know, what solution would you give for the problems in where we live? And it's my opinion. You can say it's an educated opinion, or you can choose not to. My opinion is we ought to oust the rats out the house. Real G's know rats eat cheese. They pay them. But see, they give the Puff Daddy argument for doing what they do. I remember when Puff Daddy and Master P both started to get on the rise because of that gap that was left by Pop, and people would say, well, they can't rap. Their response, and it became a common response from people that wasn't good at something but still was getting paid a lot, and we didn't understand the particular dynamics at the time, the titanic dynamics of the Boule. And if you don't understand the Boule, you ain't gonna understand the rest of what I got to say, nor will you understand it or understand it. There are people who are able to get the positions and power that this world will afford you if you go along to get along because they joined up with the clique. And that goes for every ethnicity, every nationality. There's a clique. And the leaders of each particular ethnic clique, they have a clique themselves. And this is where you get the New World Order philosophy from. It's a world order. That means they have a black leg, they have an Asian leg, okay? In the black community, the leg of the Illuminati has been outed years and years ago, most famously and notably by Brother Steve Coakley, but by others too. Yash Karash and different brothers have done a lot to help to expose what I feel is the most important foes. The thing that keeps the black community in confusion more than anything is these brothers, okay? The brothers that will do the bidding of the elite and color it black. Slick side, you know. They really a part of the Brotherhood, okay? And they don't mean us no good, okay? They get what they get and they split, you know. Or they attempt to put up something real that's really counterfeit. Have mercy. It's the New Age noir agenda. So because it exists, there should be no more exaltation of blackness simply for the sake of blackness. If something is wrong, it's wrong. Okay? I don't go along to get along. Have mercy. I don't sing that song. Okay? Ain't no hating, but ain't no jocking either. Some people go along with something simply because everybody else do, or because it's the popular thing. So they believe. Snitches get ditches, and booty slaves get graves. Have mercy. To oppose me, you must either take one stance or the other. A, that there's no Illuminati, or B, that elitism is good. If you believe that elitism is good, or you believe that there's no Illuminati, then we ain't got no more to say. I ain't got no kickers for you. There is a New Age noir agenda, or the New Age version black, where they play a game, you know, a game by any other name is still the same. They play a game just like the powers that be do over everyone, but their game has a different aim. It's aimed at us in the community. And they will, because they've been paid, okay, and they'll do something strange for some change, they will be placed up in front of you as leaders or as people that have some sort of good intent to help to clean up the dirt in the community or in the hood. And, you know, just because it's black, it ain't all good. They have been outed by Steve Coakley, rest in peace, who was set up and killed. And if you ask me, they should still be outed. We should continue to out them. Okay? I don't think that we should just blindly accept or go along with things because brothers are behind them. It used to be that the heroes of the community was people that gave back to the community, represented the community, and stood up for the poor. Nowadays, as soon as a guy get a couple dollars and a couple hollers, he out the door. Have mercy. He don't come back no more. And he talks down on the people that's still there. And that ain't something I can feel there. What is the New Age noir agenda? The same as the New Age blanc agenda. No God. God is self. The essence of what they tell you when you get up to the higher levels of the Boule. That's why once you get past a certain point and a certain level and you're in that clique, you really have a godless agenda. That's why you find Messy Jesse and Al Sharpton, neither one saying nothing about the sun. Have mercy. Unless they're talking about the S-U-N. The Boule is used to hide the real elite. They're the guard dogs. And the best way that they hide the real elite is to deny their existence by pointing you, the resistance, the revolutionaries, by pointing you in the wrong direction and telling you this is our number one problem. And when they tell you that, have mercy. Anything that one of the Brotherhood members or supporters or sympathizers tells you, you need to look twice at it. It's a form of mind control and behavior modification aimed at the black, and you should not buy that. MK Ultra and COINTELPRO, what do you know? You need to look those things up. But first and foremost, what I bring up is the Boule. You have to look at the Boule. And people will play all kind of games, okay? And they try to act like they not down when they are. But they will betray themselves, okay? People that do anything for $1, all right? And they'll talk down on people, you know, that live real lives, that might not compromise, you know, for a burger and fries, for a happy meal, because it's a crappy deal, Kanye. So some signs and symbols of people that would belong to the Boule, aside from what they say. You can't just go by what they say. A liar ain't gonna tell you he's telling a lie, but you want to look at certain things that they exemplify. The degradation of black women and of black male-female relationships. People are placed in our community to help to keep us apart. Okay? Irish or Scottish people who blindly follow their culture and, you know, still ascribe to Catholicism, they are no better. Okay? They go along with their ethnic faith regardless of the wrongs that's in it. That's the same as these Negroes, these Uncle Ruckas suckers, who purposely tell brothers things that'll keep them from having quality sisters, and telling sisters things that'll keep them from having quality brothers. It don't take no rocket scientist to discover that, you know, a dude need to have his bread together and a sister need to have her head together. But when you put the emphasis on material things, and when you put the emphasis on shallow things, you know, well, what do you look like? Send me a picture. You a game goofy goober. Super duper. And mind control of women personified is what the pimp does to the hoe. The Mac does to the whore. Mind control of men that need some gain is selling that knowledge to the lame. There's an old adage that goes, as a woman goes, so goes the nation. Okay? So it's important that brothers and sisters have the proper communication. Now, when you see low-key and not so low-key dissing and objectifying or degrading of our women, like you see from certain suckers who will call them bed wenches, or, you know, talk about their mammy style or whatever, because she may not have a physique that's straight off the covers of Essence magazine. You know, maybe that don't run in her family. You know, there were certain tribes that had certain shapes. You know, it's not all about the Hottentot tribe. Have mercy. You know what the Hottentot tribe was? That's where you get, her name was Sarah Bartman from, who had such a big behind that they put her in the freak shows. Yes, I'm talking about the freak shows where you see the bearded lady and the man with 7 fingers and things of that nature. They locked her up and put her in those freak shows. They called her the Hottentot Venus. Hottentot. It was a tribe. And that was part of how that tribe was built and made up. Okay? Also, when you find brothers that are intellectually dishonest, when they call us niggas, and then they say they're doing it because it means king. No, you say it because you better not stop. Your bosses will go upside your head. Believe it, because they're the ones that's feeding you the things that they won't say it. That's right. And if you stop, they'll stop paying you. That's right. Call me Mr. Spacely, because I'm finna be on your head like a Stetson Jetson. Them white supremacists that pay you will whoop that trick if you stop talking this negative skit. Don't play no games. People that put women and men at odds, white and black at odds, and the wealthy and impoverished at odds, the big three, the trifecta of the chessboard game, are playing that game because they part of that Masonic chessboard. Please believe it. People that turn from pimping women to pimping men, or pimping our culture, and the men blindly, emotionally led into a false sense of revolution and black power. These people are the Illuminati's men of the hour. People using white racial elites slurs against their own people, because that's their boss. They boss say them things, okay? They boss use them Uncle Ruckas terms to refer to us. They probably use them terms to refer to them when they down on their knees doing what they got to do. Have mercy. Okay? They're revealing their true feelings and their true hatred toward their own people when they use those slurs. Okay? Negro bedwench is an elite racial slur. Okay? People that diss conscious brothers by calling them hotep niggas, or that diss the brothers in the ghetto streets by calling them dusty niggas. And these are quotes. I don't use the word. If you notice in all my videos, I've gone without using that word, and it's for that very reason. I come from a different place in a different time. I wasn't just born in Detroit. I'm from Detroit. I lived here all my life, K through 12. Okay, raised up between 6 and 7 Mile part of the time, and Finkel and 6 the other time. Now, I don't use the N-word, you know. Detroit public schools in the late 70s, 80s, and 90s still had revolutionary-minded teachers, positively militant. Okay, I read the writings of the black writers of influence: James Baldwin, Alex Haley, Ralph Emerson, Maya Angelou, and Nikki Giovanni, just to name a few. Then I went through public school in the 70s, in the 80s, and in the 90s. That's a unique thing. I get to see 3 different decades and, say, 2 generations of what time it was in the black community, in one of the blackest places on the planet. Believe it and try to overstand it. I went through the era of golden era conscious rap, the 720 of that. The good part was an almost total abolishment of the word, the N-word. Okay? P.E., Public Enemy, X-Clan, KRS-One, Rakim, Big Daddy Kane, Brand Nubians. These brothers instilled a certain thing in me, you know, not to mention seeing all of the black power and unity and business building that I was able to see, you know, to where I never went along with people saying, well, we take the word back, we turn it around from what it used to mean. No, it still means the same thing, because you let it come off the wrong lips. Have mercy. And you gonna trip. Now, you know, I'm human. And if I get really riled up, I might say some things worse than that. Please believe it. And you know, we talked about the profane spirit in the Watch Your Mouth video. So, you know, we all works in progress, and progress is a process. But when I get on here to put messages out there, especially messages that's supposed to be aimed at everybody in the truther gang, but, you know, especially and of course always with a special sensitivity to my people and my culture and where I come from, I'm not going to represent myself in that manner. It's another reason why I don't have to cuss. You know, if you saying what's true, you ain't got to fuss nor cuss. I might fuss. Have mercy. I might fuss. But this whole dynamic of acceptance of that N-word, it is a relatively new phenomenon, and young people should know that. The word was reintroduced as accepted again, the we're taking it back deception, by way of blue comedy's resurgence, because you had the blue comedy of Red Fox and Dolomite in one era, which I laughed at. Dolomite, who, you know, we know he ended up being a brother member too, and that's where you get that gay shade that you get off of him and Paul Mooney and others, you know, who were the old school brothers who had to go through those gates in order to get any sort of pedestal or platform to present and perform. Well, when it went from Eddie Murphy and Richard Pryor, from Dolomite and Red Fox, then it went to Richard Pryor era, then Eddie Murphy era. Then Robin Harris era brought in the whole new era of comics now that throw the word around like it ain't no thing. And they have helped you to be fools. Because, again, a comedian is a joker, and a joker was once called in royal courts a fool. So if you let the fools or the comedians or the jokers establish for you the things that you believe, say, and do, you be a fool too. Also, by way of the excited, hilarious responses from audiences when the word was inserted on non-black produced quote-unquote black shows like Good Times, Sanford and Son. Of course, demonic racist Hollyweird was behind that. Then thirdly, you have the dynamic of NWA in the West Coast. And this is no disrespect to the entire coast that does the most, because a lot of good music came from the West Coast, and conscious music too. Captain Rap was one of the first who definitely put down a positive track, but what the elite with the powers that be chose to amplify and to, you know, magnify by putting money behind was the negative stuff. Some people's whole experience or understanding of rap music or hip-hop music comes from what used to be a little section in the record store for gangster rap. I remember it was down at the bottom at Aspen Records, you know, because 88, 89, even Too Short adjusted. I mean, you know, he still had cuss words, but Too Short put the balance in there of, you know, talking about things in the community, you know, showing some consciousness. The conscious rap section was overwhelming the little bottom area that people now call gangster rap. We didn't have a name for it then, you know. You know, you had the Ghetto Boys down there, you had 2 Live Crew down there, you know. But when the NWA came out, that small section blew up because you had a bunch of labels seeing that by the popularity of NWA and Eazy-E records, they could mimic that success, but even more important than the success, because usually they have money before they begin. For people that say that money is, you know, follow the money and you'll get to the root of the problem, that's not always going to solve them, because we're talking about a power base, a world power base. And yes, there are, from what we see on Front Street, it's a lot more white folks controlling things. The Boules is the peons, okay? Believe that, all right? But then when you do your deep due diligence, you'll find that everything that they learn and practice in their belief systems and their mystery systems comes from the Egyptian mystery system. So you better believe that behind closed doors, it's really the black witches and warlocks that's setting the trends. Believe it. And they got their little sons out here, you know, the Uncle Ruckas suckers out here self-hating. That's real hating, self-hating, okay? Because they hating on their real self, okay? They would not be able to present themselves as the clean-cut Uncle Tommies and Uncle Ruckas suckers that they truly have become today, okay, if they hadn't started out the other way. Because in order for you to make a good boule and for the elite to put you out there to say what they need to say, you got to have a little ghetto in you, just a little bit of play. Have mercy. Now, nowadays, the acceptance level of this Uncle Ruckas sucker mentality is higher than ever. No rappers in the modern era have refused to use the N-word, save maybe Will Smith, as hood movies, which come from demonic racist Hollyweird again, and the new batch of comedians, entertainers, and rappers, in effect clowns, revitalized its use. Now the use is off the chain and it ain't going back on again. I now know almost no one who uses any effort or voluntary restraint by choosing to avoid this racially derogatory term, which, like coon, porch monkey, bed wench, and the other terms drawn from slave masters, flow freely from Uncle Ruckas' lips, as does the now accepted B word. I remember it used to be, could nobody call a girl a B, not another female even. Now you hear females saying that to each other. the same way that the brothers is saying the N-word to one another. Have mercy. Some call even non-blacks by the N-word. It's become so commonplace in their vocabulary. I know some people that couldn't call nobody anything but that. That's their word for everybody. Chinese, male, female, grandma, auntie. Everybody is a N. And that's a strange psychological twist. But it's born from the effect popularized urban black culture has had on the suburbs and the world in general, where you have white boys that are called each other the N-word. It is as funny to me as a brother in a dress, and that ain't. Its origin and intent to degrade cannot and should not be softened, rationalized, forgotten, nor ignored. It's veiled self-hate. The Uncle Ruckas suckers. Now there are satanic sites, outwardly racist sites, neo-Nazi pages. I don't have no kickings for them. It's not my type of hype. But you see your brother raise some valid points and questions based on easily researchable facts, and you decide you want to comment on that. It's a bit disingenuous and inorganic. So, would I go on the show? Would I call up and voice my opinion? Would that be time and energy well spent? Shows that deal with less controversial subjects than that orchestrate and or screen the call-ins. So I'm to believe that that wouldn't happen to me. So, you know, it's not a stretch to see why his would screen call-ins too. There are some very practical reasons why it's done. Okay? One of which is to guarantee that the host don't get his head knocked off his shoulders verbally. Have mercy. And mercilessly. They're not going to let certain people get in. So they feed them goofy goober snacks. Okay? That he can easily jump up and snap in his trap. Have mercy. Oh yes, I fear him. As I do, you too. You're both some mental giants, and your complexity of conversation and your verbal dexterity and grandiose grandmaster's grasp of linear logic far exceeds the limitations of my meager, mouseish mind. Now, I would not and could not be coerced by way of vain, meager, and futile attempts to play off of my emotions or feed into my feelings. So therefore your reply is denied, because to feed into my feelings or cause them to be amplified, you're not qualified. You cannot feed into my feelings, although I'm sure it would not be a chore for me to enjoy yours. But what for? Some of those replies that come from the spies and the romanticized guys that's in a bromance with your boy over there, they're inorganic. Some are panicked and frantic because towards him they feel romantic. And that's a shame, because I bet you he wouldn't take a whiz on you to put you out if you was on fire. Have mercy. Now, it's time for the Roundup. And I ain't talking about weed killer. It's time, you know, as we are getting rounded up, you know, they building their case first like they do before they bust a big dope man. How you doing, brother? But they trying to round up the truthers that's 100, get a good beat on them, and then they gonna send the forces of the elite on them. Well, while that's happening, it's time to also round up these Uncle Ruckas suckers and these other punks Okay. And, you know, that's something for which I'm willing to dedicate my life. Call me Unplugem, aka Menace II Societies. I believe that. And I'll give up my life about it. You don't even have one to give up. Because anytime that, you know, you up somebody else's butt, okay, and you don't even know what's up, you ain't did no research, you know, you living vicariously through somebody like they're a sports hero. Have mercy. And it makes you a sports zero. So Mario, catch the magic mushroom and get a life. Have mercy. Yeah, I got more rhymes than Detroit got to me, because one of us missed the bus. Have mercy. So win, lose, or draw, fall, crawl, or brawl. This is Unplugem. Tell the whiff. Tell the ref to blow the whistle. That's game, y'all.